The Locked On College Top 100 Players in College Football list is here, and DJ Lagway, well, he's underrated on it.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free, wherever the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Thursday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. And so Locked On put together this top 100 players list in college football, voted on by the hosts. And I will say this, that there's a lot of variety in these opinions, right? I will give them that. A lot of people got it wrong with DJ Lagway, but there's a lot of variety in these opinions. And in the NFL list, there's maybe 40, 50 hosts. There's about 35, 36 shows. So 40, 50 hosts. The NBA, going to be something similar. But college is very different because college, we have about, I think we're up to about 70 or 80 shows right now. So it's a lot. And so while we're at that 70, 80 mark, it is, it leads to a lot of varying opinions. And it means that like my vote counted less than if I were an NFL host, right? Only college hosts voted on this, but I'm just explaining this because, well, I think that they've underrated DJ Lagway. I will also say this. Florida had 5 players on the list, second most behind only Georgia, who had 6. So, like, as far as that goes, you got a few things right? You did get a few things right. Florida's got 5 guys on the list. And 5 is second most, tied with Alabama, Penn State, and Ohio State. And I will also say this. I disagree. It was like kind of capped at 6 for the school, and I disagree with that because there are some schools that deserve more players on the list, right? Like I don't even know who's number 99, 100. Actually, 99 is Nebraska's Dylan Raiola, right? Maybe you could have a little bit of a different conversation there about who should be ahead of him if Georgia had more, or if I guess, Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State, Florida all had more names on the list, maybe they'd get selected, right? But that's neither here nor there. Number 24 is DJ Lagway. And look, 24 is not bad for a guy that was a not full-time starter last year, and for a guy that was a true freshman last year. Like, I don't think 24 is an awful spot. I do think they got it wrong by, I'll say, about 8-ish spots. So it's not awful, but when you do consider that, well, you were off by 8 spots at 24, you were about a third off. You were 33% there, which not great. Still passing, right? But not great. Like, I'll pull up the 11 to 20 list here, which if you're listening and not watching, that's fine. There's just a list here. But I did, like, there's some names here that are just wrong, I think, right? Peter Woods should probably be higher. Spencer Fano probably be higher. Lenora Sellers, I will admit this publicly. Lenora Sellers was my highest rated quarterback on the list. I had him as a top rated quarterback. I think I voted him like 7th or 8th overall. I like Lenora Sellers. I think he's a damn good football player. But like Raylan Wilson, if you're putting positional value, quarterback should be higher. And there's just some spots here where it just wasn't ideal, right? And so DJ Lagway is 24th, which he should be higher than that. DJ Lagway is QB6 on this list. I think he should be higher than that. I'm not even using the QB wins. Like, I'm not going to use the argument of, well, he didn't lose a single game. He started and finished. I'm not using that. I hate that argument. I think it's valid when you're talking about winning football games, but I don't think simply winning means that you're a better quarterback, right? Because then, well, J.J. McCarthy would be considered one of the greatest quarterbacks in college football history because he won games. That's not how it works, right? It's not just about winning. But on this list at quarterback, number 6, the highest ranked quarterback, is number 6, and it's Clemson's Cade Klubnik. I had Cade as the, I think, second highest quarterback on my list. I don't remember what my votes were. But I had Cade, I think, is my second highest ranked quarterback. QB2 here is number 8 LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not going to say quarterback every time. I'm only talking about quarterbacks. So number 8 is LSU's Garrett Nussmeier. Number 13, as you saw, South Carolina's Lenora Sellers. Number 20, as you saw, Penn State's Drew Aller. Number 21, which I think that this one is, I think it's glaringly off, is Arizona State quarterback Sam Levitt. And look, I don't know what everybody voted for or what their thought was, right? What I voted for was what you did last year and what I anticipate you doing this year. And so that was how I voted for it, in which case, to me, DJ Lagway's head and shoulders better than Sam Levitt and probably Drew Aller. If Drew Aller was so damn good, he would have been in the NFL. It's as simple as that. If Drew Aller was really that guy, he would have declared. He wouldn't have come back. He's going to put up gaudy numbers, right? And people are going to use that to say everything. And like, I don't dislike Drew Aller, but he's got, in my mind, a top 3 offensive coordinator on the planet right now in Andy Kotelnicki. He's going to be put in great position to succeed. Also, Drew Aller, outside of passing to Tyler Warren, wasn't as productive, right? Like, if you remove having the second most productive tight end in college football, behind only Harold Fenton Jr., then Drew Aller, even his numbers don't look that great. And I don't know, I think of a great quarterback as someone that can spread the ball around, make plays at all different levels to all different receivers, not just, hey, I'm going to force feed this incredibly talented tight end and I'm going to be a scheme merchant. I just don't view that. So that's why, for me, Drew Aller was below DJ Lagway and Sam Levitt. I had that too. But DJ Lagway is, again, Sam Levitt's 21. DJ Lagway, QB6, 24. One thing that I think they absolutely nailed, in the sense of not hyping up someone that doesn't deserve it, is at number 31, Texas quarterback Arch Manning. He's number 31 on the list. He's QB7 behind DJ Lagway. And I know that there are going to be people that go, oh, well, DJ Lagway is unproven. Arch Manning's unproven. What's the difference? Well, my unproven is a quarterback that started 6 games last year that he finished and started 7 games overall last year as a true freshman. They're overrated. Arch Manning hasn't started 7 games ever in college. That's a big difference, I think. I think a guy starting 7 games as a true freshman is different than a guy that hasn't started 7 games, period, and is entering year 3. Yeah. I think there's a difference. That's why I'm more skeptical of Arch. Not to use the Spurrier, well, if he was so good, then he would play more thing. But when we're talking about unproven, there's levels to it, right? Mine is unproven with 1 year of college experience. That one's unproven with 2 years of college experience. It matters, right? Number 37 is Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer, who transferred from Washington State. Number 55 is SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings. Number 73, which is an absolute robbery, is Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson. I've been very open. I think Avery Johnson's a tremendous quarterback. If I'm not mistaken, I had him, I think top 40 is where I had him. Number 74 is Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza, who played at Cal last year, and I had him, I think, 55. Number 78 is Duke quarterback Darian Mensa, who I don't even remember if I voted for him. Number 79 is Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier, which this is about where I had him. Number 84 is TCU quarterback Josh Hoover, who I didn't vote for. Number 89 is Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King, who I put in, I think, the mid-90s. And number 99, is Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola, who I had in the 80s or 90s. I just think that, DJ Lagway should have been top 20 minimum. I think I had him in the 9 to 12 range, if I'm not mistaken. I made the stupid mistake of not making a spreadsheet as I was submitting my picks here. And so that's what I did. That was dumb. But yeah, I had Lagway way higher. Obviously, other people didn't feel the same way. Don't know what it was. This is, by the way, before Chris Marler's hit piece calling DJ Lagway overrated, which is nothing short of laughable. But yeah, DJ Lagway, QB6 here, 24th overall. Florida Gators have 4 more guys on the list, and we will talk about them when we get back with Locked On Gators. If you're trying to stay on top of your routine, whether that's workouts, long days on campus, staying hydrated through back-to-back classes or through work, hydration is where it all starts, and that's where Drip Drop comes in, right? And you can also have it, you got a busy day drinking behind you. I'm just saying Drip Drop works there. And Drip Drop is doctor developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium, electrolytes, and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. And I'll tell you this, I've been very open. I got all 4 of my wisdom teeth taken out a little bit over a week ago, and it was difficult to drink, but I needed to stay hydrated because there are actual things that can happen if you're not hydrated. Don't need to talk about that at all. I'm just going to say that. So I was like, all right, Drip Drop, perfect. I'm going to use it to stay hydrated. I don't have to drink as much water because it's difficult to drink, but I get to stay hydrated. That was the game plan, and so far, we're golden, baby. We are. A little soreness, but we're golden. Right now, Drip Drop's offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to dripdrop.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's dripdrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. And by the way, the watermelon flavor does hit hard. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free, whether it's in the podcast and on YouTube. And like I said, the Locked On Top 100 has come out. Florida has 5 players on it. We already know DJ Lagway is number 24. DJ Lagway is also the highest rated Gator on here, which I will say that's fine. But I think that many of the other Locked On hosts, especially the non-SEC hosts, got this really wrong. All right, I will say they got this really wrong. So the next highest rated Gator after 24, DJ Lagway, 49, Caleb Banks. Interior defensive lineman Caleb Banks is 49, and I'll pull up the 40 through 50 range. 41, KJ Bolden. 42, Terry Moore. 43, Le'Veon Moss. 44, Mikael Kamara. 45, Ricardo Hallman. 46, Rod Moore. 47, Parker Brailsford. 48, Whit Weeks. 49, Caleb Banks. And 50, D'Angelo Pons. And yeah, this is just, I mean, look, my issue with this is that Caleb Banks is, I'm not going to do the whole, projected top 5 pick thing, because that's not true. I don't care who you see, where you see it. That's not true. Mock drafts that come out now aren't coming out for accuracy. They're coming out so that you get comfortable with the people that they think, with the prospects that these media members think will be household names come NFL draft time. That's what it's for. And then it's telling you, hey, we're putting Caleb Banks 4th to the Raiders because we think the Raiders are going to need a defensive tackle. That's it, and we think he's a really good one. That's how it's working right now. That's how the mock drafts work a year in advance. It's not about we're actually nailing this pick. No. The draft order isn't set by what the draft order is. It's usually set by the Super Bowl odds reverse. Least likely team to win the Super Bowl gets the highest pick. Things like that. So it's not even about being accurate. He's not a projected top 5 pick. Because if he was a projected top 5 pick this year, he probably would have been first, early, second round pick this past year, and he would have declared. So it's not that. But he should be higher. Caleb Banks is still a top 20, 25 player in the country. He is, I think, the 2nd or 3rd best defensive lineman in the country, or interior defensive lineman, I'll say. In fact, who's the highest rated D lineman on this list? Keldrick Falk is, I view him more as a D-line edge type, which is Tyreek Sapp's role. Peter Woods, sure, I'll give you Peter Woods. Peter Woods, D lineman 1 is I agree with that, so I'm not going to fault you that much. LT Overton, no. Just going to say that now, and then I clicked the completely wrong order. This is just, again, Ruben Baines, number 29. That tells you how some of these guys voted, right? So that's that. Caleb Banks should have been way higher. Number 58. 58. Center, Jake Slaughter. Ridiculous. The All-American center, the best center in the country. That's the guy that many media outlets are going, hey, who's the best offensive player in the SEC? Who's the best offensive player in the SEC? And media outlets are going, yeah, you know who's the best offensive player in the SEC? The Florida Gators center, Jake Slaughter. And we've got him at 58. Ridiculous. The ability to evaluate trench play has never been worse. Because what the hell are we doing if Jake Slaughter is 58? I'm not even saying he needs to be top 10, top 20, but he's got to be at least top 50, at least top 40, at least top 35, even. What the hell are we doing? 58's nothing short of ridiculous. And if I were one of the voters that had him that low, where 58 was a possibility, I would be embarrassed of my opinion. I'd be embarrassed there. Number 61, defensive line edge, Tyreek Sapp. I think he should be slightly higher. I'm not going to kill you for this. I think I had Sapp in the 45 to 52-ish range. I'm not going to kill you for it, but I do think that Tyreek Sapp, 61, not a great spot there. And then I don't know what's more egregious, number 58, Jake Slaughter, or number 71, offensive tackle, Austin Barber. Look, I love Austin Barber. I think he's got an incredible ceiling. I really do. I know that he's been very experienced at this point, but he gets better every year. Okay, he's still got the tools to be a very good offensive tackle in the NFL. I think he's got that level of play. I think the right side's way better for him. I think he just moves better on the right side. But they missed the mark there. I don't think Austin Barber is the 71st player in the country. I think I had him in the mid-80s. It's not a knock on him, right? There's 136 FBS schools now with the addition of Missouri State and Delaware. There's tons of schools, and we're still saying that, hey, 71 would still mean you're the best player on a lot of them, right? Obviously not literally how that works, but I don't get it. I don't get it. Again, offensive tackle play, offensive line play is just that it's never been worse as far as evaluation goes. 71's ridiculous for me as well there. Maybe it's me, right? Maybe if I'm the one that has an issue with every one of them, then maybe it's me. But holy hell, some of these rankings, my goodness. We are also going to talk about 2 notable omissions from the Florida Gators that I think should have been considered. I will also give my reasoning for why I think they were out. But yeah, sometimes things just don't like it. We're going to talk about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever the podcast and on YouTube. And to wrap up today's show, we are going to talk about 2 notable omissions from this list, or at least I think they're notable from this list of top 100. And again, I will remind you all, Georgia had 6 players in the top 100. Florida had 5. That was the second most. Georgia had the most at 6. Florida had 5. Florida was tied with Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State. And I mean, hell, those alone make 26 players of this top 100 list. 26% of your list is from 5 schools. You're in good company, right? You know who's not in that top list? Texas doesn't have 5 players. Clemson doesn't have 5 players. Penn State doesn't have 5 players. You're talking about a list of elite company, and Florida is in the elite of the elite, right? I'm not killing that. I'm not saying that this whole list is awful or anything like that. Like I'm not doing any of that. I am just saying though that like you're in elite territory, an elite category, but I do still think that they've got some things wrong about it, which again I don't think is unfair to say. Which yeah, by the way, schools that are on Florida's schedule as well. Georgia had 6. Florida, of course, had 5 at themselves. Texas is at 4, which isn't 5, right? Behind Florida. Miami is at 3. LSU is at 3. Texas A&M is at 2. Ole Miss is at 2. Who else is on the schedule? Tennessee's at 1 with just Jermod McCoy. And that's it. That's it. Everybody else on the list is not on Florida's schedule. And I'm not going to pretend that like Florida should have a trillion guys here. I'm not even that mad about the omissions. I just think that they deserve an honorable mention, if anything. We'll say that. We'll call them honorable mentions. I'm not going to pretend that Florida should have the entire depth chart on here. I will admit that Hayden was someone that I considered here. And I was like, you know what, an inline tight end without the production isn't going to make the list regardless. Still damn good football player, I'll tell you that much. But I do think there needs to be a conversation about 2 players, okay? First off is Trey Wilson, right? Like, I get it. Like the way that I'm thinking about it is I'm someone who openly says, hey, Trey needs more touches. Trey needs to be able to play actual receiver. I get that. I'm not saying that that's not true. However, and receiver rankings go number 1, Jeremiah Smith. We voted him as the best player in the country. Number 5, Ryan Williams. Number 16, Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. Number 32, Cam Coleman from Auburn. Number 34, Eric Singleton from Auburn, although really from Georgia Tech, but at Auburn now. Number 51, Mekhi Lemon from USC. Number 52, Denzel Boston from Washington. Number 57, Elijah Surratt at Indiana. Number 67, Antonio Williams at Clemson. Number 68, Malachi Fields at Virginia. Number 77. This is where I think Trey Wilson should have been above this receiver. KC Conception at Texas A&M by way of NC State, is it? Not better than Trey Wilson. Not better than Trey Wilson. Okay, I will say that. Maybe Dejon Stribling from Ole Miss is at number 85. Very productive at Oklahoma State, so tough to really harp on it. I know he's at Ole Miss, and it's like, well, you were incredibly productive at Oklahoma State. Maybe you're going to be more productive with Ole Miss. So maybe. Number 86 is Carnell Tate from Ohio State, and I will say that I think Trey Wilson's better than him. I know that Carnell Tate was more productive last year. However, I also acknowledge that, 1, more games played for Ohio State, better offense overall for Ohio State. And Carnell Tate got the privilege of being, wide receiver 3? And which I know, it sounds like, oh, well, he should have less production. Well, when you consider the volume at which they pass, no. And when you consider that defenses were double-teaming Jeremiah Smith, trying to do anything they could against Emeka Egbuka, like, Carnell Tate was wide open because they were focused on other places consistently. The running backs were maybe the best running back room in the country last. Not even maybe. They were. Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins. You don't get better than that. Number 91 is Dane Key from Kentucky, currently at Nebraska. Not better than Trey Wilson. I say that as someone that is a big Dane Key fan. You can go back to when Dane Key entered the transfer portal. And I'm on this show going, go get Dane Key. I think he's going to be really freaking good. not better than Trey Wilson. But I get it, right? I don't think that Trey Wilson was left out because of the usage, right? Because I do think that a lot more of this list was based on production and stats than it was and name. Production, stats, and name over actual film. So I will say that, but Trey Wilson's better than at least Carnell Tate, Casey Concepcion, and Dane Key, without a doubt in my mind. I get why he'd be left out. I think it's the injuries. I think it was last year being hurt and missing time and not being able to be productive at all. Who knows what he would have been, right? The other name, Jaden Ball. There are a bunch of running backs on this list. I think it's 15 running backs on this list. And again, I'm not saying that all of them are bad or anything. You know, Jeremiah Love was voted as 4th overall from Notre Dame. Nicholas Singleton, 25th. Le'Veon Moss, 43rd. Isaac Brown, 60th. Jonah Coleman, 62nd. Jaden Ott, 70th, which, by the way, Jaden Ott should have been way higher than 70th. Then you had Nate Frazier from Georgia. Nate Frazier from Georgia. Bryson Washington from Baylor. Jamal Haynes from Georgia Tech. Darius Taylor from Minnesota. One of those names should have been above Jaden Ball, and it's Jamal Haynes. I will give Jamal Haynes the love and his flowers. There were a bunch of running backs on this list. And I understand the thought of saying, oh, well, you know, Jaden Ball was a true freshman, right? I get it. I think that's what it was, that Jaden Ball was a true freshman that didn't start the whole season. But you watch Jaden Ball play football, you look at the metrics, and he's phenomenal. You do. I'm not trying to hype people up and gas him up. I'm just being honest here. Especially when you consider, you consider the situation and just watch the film, right? We're going to look at this list. I just decided this right now. We're going to revisit this list after the season just so I can circle back, just so I can do that, and just so I can be like, hey, you know what? You were wrong about this. 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 Because Jaden Ball is going to pass up a lot of the guys on the list that he was excluded from. He's going to do it. I don't care if he's a freshman. We voted the freshman as a top player in the country. I don't care that he's a freshman. He's a damn good football player. He belonged on this list. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, whether it's in the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football. We'll talk fall camp tomorrow. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I will see you all next time.